Greetings to everyone. Today we will cover how to properly prepare various types of insulation materials for creating the base reinforcing layer before applying AMK. If you're using a regular smooth polystyrene board, you'll need to roughen it up first. Just grab a metal brush or even a sharp notched trowel. As you can see, roughening up the boards by hand takes a lot of effort. That's why they came out with a special facade version of XPS. It's already rough, pre-treated, and has super strong adhesion. Basically, it's ready to go, no extra work needed. Next, we have high-density facade EPS board. It doesn't need to be treated since its surface already suitable for adhesive application. It's quite popular insulating option. And now comes the most interesting part, mineral wool. First, you need to give it a coat of adhesive for insulation boards, kind of like wrapping it in a shell. Once that layer dries, then you add the base reinforcing layer with fiberglass mesh on top. That's exactly what we're going to do now. The first thing to do is to soak the mineral wool with glue. This is glue for thermal insulation boards and fiberglass mesh. This is how it should be done, preferably with semicircular motions. We do this to form the first shell. It might not turn out perfectly smooth at this stage, since mineral wool can have little bumps because of its uneven density. That's not a problem. The next layers will go on much smoother. When mixing the glue, add as much water as allowed so it's on the thinner side. Use this liquid mix to prime the mineral wool. Basically, give it a first coat. This creates a base layer, and later when you apply the tile adhesive, you'll have a solid surface where you can press in your notched trowel. I'll patch these dips with a stronger, thicker mix so that when we apply the mesh, the surface remains smooth, with no sagging, deformation, or dents. A day has passed and the glue has dried. We'll sand down the rough spots on the mineral wool, then prime it to control adhesive absorption and prevent the glue from setting too fast during mesh application. And we'll also install reinforcing corner beads on the corners. This is super important when working with insulation. It makes sure the corners are really strong and won't crack. Remove the dust. These prep and priming steps are only needed for mineral wool, but sometimes polystyrene boards have been sitting for a while exposed to the sun and end up looking dusty or like they've got a layer of pollen on them. All you need to do is sweep off this pollen with a stiff brush. This also creates a few grooves for better adhesion. If the polystyrene boards are old and sun damaged, we also prime them, otherwise you can skip this step. Now we'll apply the primer. Just a regular deep penetrating primer. You can apply the primer using any method that's convenient for you, spraying, a roller, or even a brush like this, it doesn't matter. The main thing is that it gets done. Since we're focusing on applying the reinforcing layer, a key step is using corner beads together with the reinforcing mesh. These are facade corner beads. First, we install them using the same adhesive used for the reinforcing layer on insulation boards, and then the mesh will be laid with an overlap of about 10 centimeters and it will look perfect. Let's get started. The adhesive has a standard consistency. This is simply to make your work more convenient and to ensure proper adhesion. I prefer a trowel, but you can use whatever works best for you. I've applied the adhesive generously, and now I'll run the notched side over it to make an even layer. We need to position the corner bead as straight as possible. Yes, I understand that facades aren't always perfectly straight and vertical, but you should always try to install them as evenly as possible. I've applied the adhesive. Now we carefully place the corner bead and do our best to get it perfectly straight. You can use a putty knife, a straight edge, or a level to help. The main goal is to make it look neat and nice. Right now, I've just fixed the corner bead in place with the adhesive so it doesn't move anymore. But to make sure it's straight on both planes, it's better to press it with a straight edge or a level. Now let's carefully smooth it out and remove any extra adhesive. See, I've covered the mesh completely with adhesive. There's also a common trick. When overlapping, leave the first 10 cm unglued. That way, when you add adhesive for the next sheet, both layers of mesh stick together at once and form a single strong unit. That's exactly what I'll do on this side. It's absolutely wrong to stretch the mesh and try to force the adhesive in. This has been proven. With the very first spring, everything will come off, guaranteed. We apply the adhesive, embed the mesh, and smooth out the adhesive. And that's it. That's exactly what we'll do. We spread the adhesive over about 1 square meter at a time, making sure it doesn't dry out. Then, little by little, we move up or down in sections, whichever is easier. The most important thing is to make sure the roll doesn't unroll on its own and get in the way. I'll carefully secure it to the wall with these small, handy nails. I smoothed out any adhesive that seeped through. The first try might not be perfect, and that's completely fine. It's okay if something sticks out like these small strips. The next day you can carefully smooth and scrape them, and the surface will be nice and even. So the adhesive has dried. You can fix any uneven spots by scraping them off with a trowel or touch up areas that don't have enough adhesive. And now you can glue the AMK. Keep in mind that as the mesh overlaps, the joints can end up about 0.5 millimeter thicker than planned. This is something important to watch for, and there's a chance that under slanting sunlight this will be noticeable. To fix this, you can apply a very thin, delicate layer on top, gently scraping it across the surface. Essentially, the joints and overlaps of these mesh rows will serve as guides. It'll end up perfect, just like a perfectionist would want. That's what we're doing next. Now it looks smooth, but keep in mind that besides the mesh overlaps, the corners might still stick out a bit. That's normal. Here the layer gets thicker. Notice these gaps. Some areas sit flush with the surface while others stick out, and that's a sign there's still some tension in the adhesive. As it dries, it can shrink a little and create small bumps. Don't worry, you can easily fix this. Just take a straight edge and gently smooth over the high spots, and the surface will become perfectly even and ready for the next step. I'll repeat, this step isn't mandatory, but I'm going to do it. The adhesive should be quite runny, almost like a thin liquid as shown here, so it spreads easily and smoothly. Well, now we've achieved a perfectly flat surface. Once the adhesive dries a bit, you can remove these little bumps again by scraping, and the wall will be perfectly ready for applying AMK or other decorative coatings. But we won't talk about those now, for that will be a completely different video. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, be sure to write them in the comments. I will personally try my best to answer them as accurately as possible. Goodbye, everyone.
This is AMK.